Hey guys, I want to talk about something super important, and that is accusations.
Oh boy, here we go.
Recently, someone threatened to sue me. I mentioned the last name Jurgensen. I also mentioned my father's name Randy, and I mentioned Mr. Repsian. And in response to the Jurgensen thing, I got this email, which the first name is censored out because I'm not trying to drop full names here. But I dated a girl a long time ago, and I explained this in the last video, but I guess I gotta be more clear. And she told me a story about how she was on a couch, dad was intoxicated, and he violated her in his intoxication. This is what she told me. I'm not saying he did this. I'm saying she told me that he did this. I don't know how I could be more clear about that. So this isn't an accusation. It's me passing on what I was literally told by someone who possibly suffered that actual crime.
Okay, so you may be allegedly telling a story that you allegedly heard about an alleged crime, but did that person give you permission or tell you that they wanted you to share their story for them? Because if not, that seems a little bit messed up, and it also seems like the exact thing that you were criticizing Jacqueline Glenn for doing for Eugenia.
Now my question to you is, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to not say anything? Wouldn't that be worse? Because you can't really go to the police with this kind of thing, as it's not, solid. I just have someone who told me that they were violated. That's not something that I can actually go in and incriminate someone for. But it is important that people generally know if someone has been accused of something by an alleged victim. That way, if it ever does go to court, you got some statements to back it up.
No, what you should do is tell them to go to the police if they feel that they have been violated, which is something that you have mentioned on a number of occasions. And how would this be a statement to back anything up if it went to court? You weren't there and you didn't see the alleged crime. All you're doing is saying that somebody allegedly told you about an alleged crime, and that wouldn't be any kind of evidence that would be able to be presented in court.
Secondly, my father. I have 3 people who have communicated that they were violated by my father. So again, this isn't me accusing my father of anything. This is me passing on the accusations of his alleged victims.
What you should be passing on is the same information that you have passed on over Twitter on a number of occasions, and that is to tell these people that if they have been a victim of a crime, that they should go to the police.
And lastly, Mr. Repsian. I was told by someone close in my life that they spoke to a girl. She said that she was violated. The person speaking to her asked if he listed off a few names, if she would actually confirm that it was them. The first name he said was Mr. Repsian, and she reacted. The person I was speaking to regarding this girl indicated it was very clear that she was in fact violated by Mr. Repsian.
So by what you're saying now is that this girl didn't even actually say that it was Mr. Repsian. The person that was questioning her interpreted that it was Mr. Repsian, and that's the information that you're going with.
And again, this isn't me accusing anyone of anything. I am simply passing on what other people have accused these individuals of. So, if y'all want to sue me, that's totally on you.
So what you're saying is you're passing on a bunch of alleged stories with no factual evidence, so all you're doing is passing on hearsay, which, by the way, is not admissible in court.
But just a little bit of information for pretty much anyone with common sense. If somebody is threatening to sue somebody, typically that means they're not going to sue them.
You mean like when you threaten to sue Joy Sparkle?
Regardless, if you've ever been a victim of a crime, please don't let anyone shame you for coming forward. If you know someone who was a victim of a crime and you were told who violated them, don't be ashamed to come forward and share that information. #MeToo is a very important hashtag, and a lot of people have been violated in this world but are too afraid to come forward because of backlash and hate for them sharing the stories of others and sharing the stories of themselves.
If you are a victim of a crime, you should in no way be ashamed to come forward with your story. However, if a person was not comfortable coming forward with a story, I don't think that it is somebody's place to display it all over the internet. If in fact that story was told and things happened the way that Onision alleges that they happened, it is still very much that person's right to come forward with their story if and when they choose that they want to come forward with that story. And it shouldn't be used for somebody's video content to get clicks and views long after they knew that this incident may have allegedly happened. If this story was so important and it was so important to get this information out there, then why is it years later that Onision is now speaking on it? If this is such a horrible, terrible, horrendous story, then why wait so long to say anything?
So with all that being said, to anyone who has a problem with these accusations from other people, shooting the messenger is kind of silly, especially since you maybe committed an act which maybe allegedly shot yourself in the foot in the first place. If you actually did what these people are accusing you of, suing people won't erase that fact. You are still who you are, and you can't sue away your bad deeds.
No, you cannot sue away the things that you have done, but if these people did not do the things in the stories that you're passing along, should no one be held accountable for slander? Or then would it flip-flop back onto the alleged victim that you are speaking for? Would they be the ones that would be held liable for slander when they didn't publicly come forward with the accusations? Would it then be turned around on the alleged victim because they told you misinformation?
Hey guys, I hope you don't mind, but I got a rant regarding this whole lawsuit business where I'm gonna get in trouble for hearing something and then telling other people what I heard. Absolute just the concept of that. The only way that would make sense is if I signed like a non-disclosure agreement. But no, I heard something from someone directly saying something happened to them, and I told other people that they said it happened to them, and now I'm allegedly going to get sued.
You might be allegedly getting sued because you went on the internet and said something about somebody with no factual basis or anything to back that statement up other than a story, which would be hearsay.
I don't think I've ever heard of a more frivolous lawsuit than simply passing on what someone else said and notifying everyone else that someone else said it and not me.
How is it a frivolous lawsuit when you've basically outed someone for being a predator when you have no factual basis other than the fact that somebody said that they were?
I think that if you believe in freedom of speech whatsoever, then at the bare minimum, you should be able to hear something and then tell others that you heard that something. What the
So by that logic, you should be able to tell possibly millions of people that somebody is possibly a predator when you have no factual information to back that up other than a story that you heard by somebody that you used to date? I'm curious, would that same logic apply if it was reversed onto you and somebody said that about you, all based on an alleged story that you allegedly heard that allegedly happened with no factual evidence or basis to back it up?
Regardless, I wanted to talk about a basic, everyone should know this concept. Bill Cosby, he violated like, what? Was it 30 women? Was it 60 women? It was a ton of women. And you know how he did that? You know how he got away with it for so long? Because of dipshits who say, oh, only one person can tell that story. Only one person can notify the public that something happened, and that's the victim.
So let me get this straight. Did you not in the past make statements that implied that if a person did not come forward with their story, they're almost as bad as the person that assaulted them?
Someone endures horrible, horrible crime, i.e. being raped, and now you are saying that they have to come forward, like they have a responsibility, that they solely, all the weight is on their shoulders to humiliate themselves and present themselves to the world and say, this happened to me? Really? That's what you're saying?
Again, is that not what you have said in the past?
Because listen, there are a lot of brave people out there who are fully capable of stepping forward and saying this happened. And those people are just heroes. They are as heroic as it gets. Like, it's so brave of them to share their story despite how humiliated they might feel. But there are human beings who don't want to be humiliated. They don't want to step forward. They don't want to pursue the case because the case might not even go through, and then the asshole gets off with it, and they're still at square one. No justice, but now they're humiliated. So you're asking them to do that on top of being violated. Like, you're telling them that they now have a job to do. Not only were they violated, but now they have a really strenuous task that's going to defeat them emotionally, mentally, and maybe even physically, depending on how long they're in court. That's what you think. You think that that's the way to handle things. To guilt the victims into doing it while saying nobody else can help them or nobody else can stand up and speak for the sake of not only them, but for the sake of others.
So you are saying that if you come out with their story for them, that they don't still have to endure that embarrassment or anything else that comes with that they wouldn't still have to go to court possibly, that they still wouldn't have to tell their story that they didn't want to tell, that this kind of action might not re-victimize them, all all over again.
So I recently came out with a list of people who other people informed me that had violated those people. I just revealed either first name or last name in my videos as to not violate policies. But people are actually, and this is what I don't understand about the internet, people are actually mad at me. Can you believe that? There's people who are like, oh, nah, let's keep the identity of the rapist secret.
Let's keep the identity of the rapist secret.
Ah, nah, let's not help out the victim. Let's just go ahead and ignore it.
Let's just go ahead and ignore it.
And pretend it didn't happen. I swear to God, you people are so stupid, it blows my mind.
So on one hand, you're saying that you didn't come out with first and or last names to not violate policy, but it's not like people on the internet can't do their own investigative work and figure out who it is that you're talking about. But then you go on to say that people are stupid for wanting to keep the identity of the secret. So now you've upgraded to not only saying that they may or may not have violated somebody, you are now outright calling somebody a rapist. And this, mind you, is all based on secondhand information from stories that you have allegedly been told. And if in fact these things did happen, then they would be terrible, and the thing that you should do is tell them to go to the police and not make public internet videos about somebody calling them an alleged rapist.
How do you think justice happens? Like, what are the statistics? If nobody else helps out any victim of any crime except for the victim of the crime, what do you think the odds are that stories are going to start building up of the predators? I genuinely hate aspects of society because of moves like this.
Again, how justice happens is by going to the police and reporting a crime, and how you would help that victim is by accompanying them to the police or being supportive of them turning this person into the police.
Think about it this way. Somebody robs your neighbor's house, right? Somebody robs your f***ing neighbor, and your neighbor is too scared to tell anybody about it. Let's say they said, if you go to the police, I'm gonna kill you, or something like that. But the neighbor does tell his neighbor that something did happen and yeah, he was robbed. So that neighbor decides to tell the public, hey, watch out, there's a robber in the neighborhood. And now the whole neighborhood knows to be more safe, lock their doors, etc. This is what you guys propose, you dumb. You propose that, oh, you heard your neighbor got broken into? Well, it's their responsibility to tell everybody. And uh-oh, better not tell my other neighbors because that's not my business, I guess. So now your other neighbor gets broken into, only he gets murdered now. And the other neighbor and the other neighbor. But it's not your responsibility to warn innocent people of a f***ing predator in the neighborhood because that's the job of the victim who's already suffering enough. Oh my God, you people are
But this is hardly the same thing. You're not saying that there is a random predator in said area. You are accusing certain people by name of being a predator when you don't have any evidence to back that statement up other than something that somebody had allegedly told you. And again, if those accusations are true, what you should do is support that person in turning them in, which would cause the police to investigate it and make that public, and then everybody would be warned about that person possibly being a predator.
So if I were to go to court and sit in front of a judge, and the judge is like, oh, you did something bad here, I would ask, okay, so what am I supposed to do when, I don't know, I find out someone was beaten by their husband, or someone was murdered? What about all the other crimes? Is the only crime that we put all the responsibility on the victim to report?
You go to the police. You encourage the person that is telling you the story to go to the police. That is the only way that the justice that you are seeking will come to pass. Go to the police. Don't make wild accusations on the internet with things that you don't have backup for except for somebody's story. And again, if it did happen, it is horrible, it is terrible. I would not want anything like that to happen to anybody that I know or don't know or anybody ever. But what you should do is encourage them to go to the police. Or if you feel strongly enough about the fact that it did happen, you go to the police. That is the only way that you're going to get the justice that you allegedly seek.
If you have a sister or a brother or a mother or a father or a daughter or a son, know that a lot of predators, they don't stop at one. They violate people throughout their whole lives because they're sick, disgusting freaks who have an itch that they want to scratch, and one person doesn't scratch it for their whole life. So what you gotta do is you gotta stand up for the victims. Oh my God, how do you not know this? You spineless. You stand up for the victims, and you speak for the sake of not only them, but for the people that could also be hurt by the same person they were hurt by. Alright, dumb mother? Cool.
This is why, again, I will say for the umpteenth time, go to the police. You go to the police. Have them go to the police. Go to the police with them. Because if you don't, then that person will still be out on the street. And if they are such a predator and such a, then they need to be behind bars. They need to be brought to justice. And that's not going to happen by making an internet video. What you need to do is go to the police. And please don't sit up here and act like you care about this person, because if you did, you would have brought this story to light a long time ago whenever you first heard it, or you would have encouraged them to go to the police or go to the police with them or for them whenever you initially heard this story. And since we have heard about your father on a number of occasions, it very much seems like the only thing that you wanted to do with this video was to say something about Mr. Repzion, but not outright make that the focus of the video, so you had to come up with something else to put in that video, and now by doing so, that may have bit you in the ass. Anyway, that's all I have to say right now. I'm gonna go do something more fun, like look at puppies on the internet or something. If you like the video, you can go ahead and do the sub thing. I would really appreciate that, but I am out of here, and I will see you some other time.